Yep. So, all right. Welcome to the last talk of today's Sub0 session. So I would like to introduce you to Thibaut from Chainsafe, and he will talk about a very interesting topic, and that's multisigs on Polkadot. All of us kind of know that it has been a huge pain handling multisigs over the course of the last few years. So hopefully Multix will be able to change that. So welcome, Thibaut. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So yeah, Multix. I will talk about Multix, but not too much in depth because I have been talking about it before, and I want to talk about actually new stuff that we're building on top of Multix. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Thibaut Sardan. I work for Chainsafe, and Chainsafe does a lot of things. Some things you may have heard Chainsafe about, may know Chainsafe for is Gossamer, which is a Go implementation of the Polkadot host. It's super interesting. I won't talk about this today, but there are people in the room here that can answer your questions. Just reach out if you have any questions. Some other things we do is a bridge called Sigma between EVM chains and substrate-based chains. They are doing amazing things. Again, I'm not talking about this today, but yeah, if you have any question, please reach out. What I will talk about is Multix, or the latest features we've been doing on Multix. So first of all, if you don't know what Multix is, so it is an interface that shows your existing multisigs and proxies right away. It's like we try to basically make things super simple, and there's no login, no sign up. You just connect your extension, share your accounts, and if you're part of the multisig, then you will see things right away, right? And if you do not have any account and are curious about, multisigs from others, you can also watch accounts there. But anyway, as I said, I won't go too deep into the basic stuff about Multix, because this is something I've been talking about at length in another, at Decoded, actually, Polkadot Decoded. So if you type into YouTube, Decoded Multix, or if you scan this QR code, then you will have, an overview of the basic stuff that Multix can do. There's even a live demo about how to rotate signatories behind a multisig and a proxy. And yeah, I recommend to watch this because it's a nice base. Although the rest of the presentation you'll still be able to follow if you don't really know what Multix is. Again, it's at the end of the day just UI, user interface to see and manage your multisigs. So another thing that I would like to point out about Multix is that we have very strong values in general. Also at Chainsafe, I would say Multix has no tracker. It is just a blockchain. Like all the data comes from the blockchain, eventually flows into an indexer, but the database does not have any personal data. And it's been fully open source since day one. This has been live actually for more than 6 months now. Constantly iterating, getting a lot of feedback, very interesting. So if you do use Multix, have any problem, please reach out to me, anyone on Twitter, or just ping us. We'll get in touch because we do love to actually talk to our users. And in my opinion, Multix is the best UX in the most open stack for your multisigs or your complex multisigs with pure proxies, etc. All right. So one thing that we recently did is got an approval of a treasury proposal. So thank you so much to all of you who voted. And if you did not vote, you will see why you probably next time should just eye us, because we actually deliver a lot of things, and the features I'm going to present to you today are actually things that are part of this proposal, which are part of like the next 6 months of funding for the team. By the way, it's not only me, it's like many other people behind the scenes, so yeah. Thank you so much, and let's get into. So what if I want to use my multisig on any dApp, right? So I have my multisig here. I created it on Multix eventually, but say I want to stake, or say I want to swap assets, right? Like you just got a proposal, you get some funding. For instance, I know the Kusamarian has this use case, and they were like, okay, cool, we got some KSM, but then we want to pay people in, I don't know, stable coins. So what if I want to swap my assets on Hydra, for instance, with my multisigs, right? Well, it's kind of annoying right now, until we develop this solution. So we want to basically you to be able to connect any dApp to your multisigs using Wallet Connect v2, and this got merged actually really recently. The idea is that you use any DApp as you would usually do. Like you go on Hydra, you have this swap, you basically connect your account, which is your multisig, and you have funds on this multisig, swap stuff. It creates a transaction that all the multisig members will see and have to approve, and then the swap will be done. The thing is, you don't create any manual extrinsic, you don't fiddle with Polkadot.js apps or whatever. You're using a DApp, right? And you end up having an extrinsic, etc., obviously, but you use the DApp to create it. And yeah, what I said, it's a usual multisig flow, so you actually have a normal, like a transaction that everyone should review and approve then. You know what? It's got merged, I said, so let's see how it looks. It's a video because it's a bit easier for me rather than doing a live demo. So here, let me give a huge shout out to Hydra people, because that's one of the only ones who support Wallet Connect, which allows you to use your multisig. But I heard the friends from the staking dashboard, for instance, are soon about to implement it so that you can, for instance, stake your funds from your multisig. But this is the Hydra interface. And so again, like nothing special to Multix here. You're on the Hydra interface. I have a Multix tab open, as you can see, but for now it doesn't really matter. We'll switch to it in a minute. So I'm on Hydra and I connect my wallet. And here you scroll down a bit and you see Wallet Connect. So you can click and you're presented with a QR code. Here, this QR code is actually a key, like a Wallet Connect key that you need to connect this interface to whatever wallet provider is, or what the wallet provider you want to use. In this case, the wallet provider will be Multix, so that's where you need to actually click this little copy button. Not an awesome UX, but Wallet Connect wasn't thought about this originally, but anyway. Then I go on Multix, I'm in the settings, and there I have a Wallet Connect field where I can just paste this key and click on Connect app. So here, Multix shows right away, basically there was a connection that was created between the two tabs that you have. So Hydra and Multix. And Multix tells you, hey, I got a new connection here from Hydra DX. That's the name that they gave to their app. The website is, and then there's the methods, which are sign transaction and sign message, which are basically the basic stuff that you can do. And again, it doesn't allow them to do everything. It just allows them to propose, extrinsics for you to sign, right? So it's, and here I'm sharing, I just have a multisig on this, this account, but you could share like multisig, proxy, etc. Like in this case, I will just share with Hydra one account. Yeah, once this is approved. And if I approve, I go back to Hydra, and there it shows the multisig account. So you say, okay, cool, I'm gone, and I happen to have some HDX here. So I want to swap some, say, HDX to USDT with this multisig. So I'm going to swap, say, 10 HDX. And it tells you, okay, this is going to be, a fraction of 6 cents. I can click swap, and then I can here review the extrinsic. So it's an omnipool sell for some assets. And here, if I click sign transaction, so here the UI tells you sign on your wallet extension. The truth is, it's actually signed on the wallet provider, which is Multix. So if you switch to Multix here, you will actually have a new pop-up that says, hey, there's a new transaction, which is an omnipool sell, and you can select, the account you want to sign it with to propose a multisig transaction, right? Like we're still multisig stuff, right? And so again, obviously here you should review that it's the same transaction, and eventually, yeah, eventually you just can sign it, and this will initiate the multisig proposal, right? So again, this is working in production, and what you end up having is something like this. So this is a view of you who have submitted a transaction, which is a swap for a multisig. So here I signed it with, my Alice, for instance, and the other, here we have two signatories of this multisig. So the other signatory, it's a 2 out of 2 multisig, right? So there's one missing, and if the other just, approves it, then the extrinsic goes through, is executed, and the swap is done, and that's it. And what you did is you used an app, like a DApp, with your multisigs. without creating crazy transactions, extrinsics, etc. And yeah. So this was part of the proposal for, that got approved, and we already delivered it. It's not perfect. As you saw, the UI is not like super nice. But this is like, I would say, stuff that we want to improve and, again, push, ship, and iterate. All right. Switching to something completely different, a little more developer-oriented. Another thing that this is another thing that we asked in our proposal. We want to make end-to-end tests for dApps much easier than what they are today. And so we have built Multix, and we wanted to make end-to-end tests. And we thought, OK, it would be amazing to be able to do real end-to-end tests, right? Like where users go on your app and click on connect and actually connect with the accounts and actually submit things on chain. And for this, so for instance, this is the view of Multix when you land and have never connected your extension, right? So what do you do when you do end-to-end tests? So you visit this page, never seen, this Multix has never seen you before, so you would say, tell to your end-to-end test, okay, click on connect wallet, for instance, then you expect, for instance, talisman to pop up, but you're in a test environment. There's no talisman popping up, right? Because, well, again, like it's more or less possible, but actually it's not possible to have, extensions, or it's just super annoying. So what people do is either they actually don't test these flows in end-to-end, which is bad, or they mock it. So they are like, okay, I expect talisman to pop up, I expect the user to share this and this account, and I expect the answer to be this. So this is mocking, right? And they're mocking the world for account connection, like we're doing, for account sharing, for signing extrinsics, etc. And the problem is, this is actually not the reality, right? Like this is just mocking, and you're actually not testing exactly what's happening, right? So we are using Cypress as an end-to-end framework to test Multix. So we thought we want to deliver a plugin so that you can automate wallet connection requests without mocking things, so that you can share accounts with the dApp, like select specific account. Once you select an account that has funds, that's a happy path eventually, or you could select an account that doesn't have enough funds, so that you can check that there are certain errors showing, etc., etc. You want to automate also the transaction signing, so that you could actually submit it to a developer node, or eventually a Chopsticks node. Yeah, the idea is to test with real payload without mocking, or without mocking. Let's put it this way. So this is how it looks like. This is, by the way, something that is running in our CI today and working, right? So this CY dot is the Cypress way of calling some specific command from the Cypress framework. So the first thing you do is mostly you visit. So first you launch your UI, right? And then you visit this UI locally, right? So here I'm visiting localhost on the network Rococo. And then the second line is actually this plugin that we are building. So I will init the transaction right when I'm visiting. So I'm just saying, okay, look, I will start this plugin transaction with Alice in there, which is this type. Then I will get, so the almost last line, one before, is get this connect button and click on it, and then this means this will be a request to the extension for connecting your accounts, and then you expect basically the UI to show loading accounts while the user is seeing this pop-up. Now the second phase is so again, this first line is something coming from the plugin, so you can request the authentication requests that have been done to this extension, right? Like I don't want to call it mock, but the Cypress injected extension, thanks to our plugin. And you get as an answer the authentication requests. So this is an object, and you can check that, okay, look, I clicked one time on the connect, so there has been one authentication request. This is a check we do. Then, as you probably know, when you connect a DApp to an extension, you can give an origin. You can give your account, your DApp a name that will be visible by the user. So here I'm verifying that the origin is actually called Multix, which needs to be, true. And then I say cy enable auth, which is, again, a way to talk to this plugin and say, okay, now you're fine. We're gonna share one account here, which is, in this case, Alice's address. And then this last line is actually a check that the multisigs should be displayed then, because, like Multix will show you multisigs right away if you connect an account that has multisigs. So basically we're saying, okay, click on connect, share Alice, and then see the multisigs, right? Again, it's live, so let's try and see how it looks like. So it goes extremely quickly, but we're gonna go slower after because it's a test. So basically, you launch the test, and bam, bam, bam. This is Alice, and they are multisigs. So went super quickly because, it fetched the accounts, blah, blah, but we can, thanks to Cypress, so this is a Cypress view, so you can, hover with your mouse and just check, okay, so here I'm visiting this local host. Then I check the connect button at the top right? Then I click on it. Then I should expect, this is the first test, the loading account. So this is basically what's happening when the user have their extension that popped up. And then I'm checking that there was one request, that it's Multix, and then finally I'm checking that, I can see this drop down with the multisigs basically, which is telling me, okay, the app is actually displaying the multisigs from Rococo. The idea is obviously to go even further. This has been developed literally last week. Again, like the proposal got also accepted last week, but we want to go further and do things what I was talking about, like actually submitting transaction, submitting this to a dev node, so that you can actually verify that the extension, the extrinsic goes through, etc. Yeah, that was it. This is a QR code for Multix if you want to try it. Thank you so much for your time. It was short, and we have time for questions if you have any.
Thanks a lot for your talk, Thibaut. Do we have any questions?
I was so clear, or so fast, or...
Yeah, so maybe I would start. So actually, like maybe as some of you know, like the big pain point in Polkadot ecosystem is actually to have multisigs that you can change easily. So can you do that via Multix? Like can you add accounts or remove accounts like easy manner?
So the question is whether we can add accounts or signatories to multisigs, yeah? Yeah. So this is where I would direct people again to the decoded video. So Multix allows you to create multisigs and pure proxies. So pure proxies is the thing that I kind of explained, where it's actually a controller. It's an account that has no key and that you can control. And so basically a pure proxy would be controlled by a multisig, and if this multisig changes, you can actually create a new multisig and control the same pure proxy. So this is something that is possible to do. It's actually super simple to do, again, with clicks. Like, I'm not talking about creating your extrinsics manually. It's something you can do and visually test in Multix. So yes, it's possible, and it's actually one of the main reasons why we built Multix, because those complex multisigs are super hard to manage, and yeah, we wanted to build an interface to make this simple.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I'll definitely give it a try, because pure proxies is what we are using for our DAO, but it's quite tedious. So
absolutely,
if you can have a nice UI for it, that's definitely a plus. So, does anyone have a question?
So when you connect to Multix via Chainsafe, and let's say you've got a lot of accounts connected, is there a way that's I guess preserving the privacy of what other accounts that you might be connecting? You might have other multi-sig accounts or just plain accounts. Is that up to the user to basically go, oh, we'll only load which accounts that you want to share?
So what you are telling me is that if you are sharing all the accounts, like you may see too many multisigs and you want to just select some.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean for Wallet Connect?
If you did like a bulk, like say for example with Polkadot.js, you can do bulk import of multiple accounts.
Yeah.
And then you might want to, I guess you could remove all the ones that you didn't need and just add the one that you're after. Is there like a feature where you could sort of emit? Because I'm not sure what happens behind the scenes at whatever URL you're at the moment. Is there a solution for that, or is that an opportunity?
So the solution is actually on the extension side. And it's very funny because what you said is that Polkadot.js is showing all the accounts, right? Well, I made a PR about a year ago to change this. This got merged. Huh. And it hasn't been released since July last year. Right. So it is there. For instance, Talisman allows you to share specific accounts with specific apps. So this is, I would say, not really a Multix feature. It's more a wallet feature because it's, at the end of the day, private information, so to say. So yeah, I encourage you to ask the Polkadot.js maintainers to actually release the PR that has been merged again.
Thanks, Thibaut.
No problem.
Anyone else? Okay, maybe I get actually one more, because you said as the backend for the multisig, there's only a blockchain and the indexer, right? Nothing else. But if I recall it correctly, like if I sign the first transaction as a member, let's say two-party multisig, I need to pass around the call data for the other person to be able to sign the transaction. So how do you pass it around?
Very good question. So I use a trick for this, or we use a trick for this, and this is actually a completely, legit trick. So what happens is that on most of the other UIs or interfaces to manage multisigs, what they do is that when you create a first multisig transaction, they will send this call data, so the information about the call, to some database. And originally, when you use Polkadot.js apps, you do not have to, or you have no database, right? So you have to copy this and send it, through other channels to the other signatories. And what we do with Multix is that we actually put this data on chain thanks to a palette call from the multisig palette. So it's called multisig .asMulti, and this means that your call data is actually in the first call of the first person who requested, the transaction. And then the UI, like Multix, will see in the state of the chain where was this transaction submitted, so at which block, which index, and we can go fetch basically this block. So this requires to have a not so old transaction, or you would need an archive node. But to be fair, so far, even like a week-old transaction has absolutely no problem on non-archival data. So it hasn't been actually a problem so far. And again, so this means the data is on-chain, and there is no call data in a database that could be messed with, that could be actually a big security issue. And that's why we are actually very proud with Multix to achieve, something as open as it gets without actually using the database for such important data.
Yep, thank you. That's pretty neat, actually. Cool. So, are there any other questions? Or shall we wrap it up? Yeah. All right. So thanks a lot, Thibaut. It was very interesting. You got me convinced. I will definitely give it a try.
That's perfect.